Broadcasting live from Houston, Texas, and around the world. TV host, best-selling author, and radio personality Brad Gilmore brings you a collection of conversations with stars from movies.
Mark Wahlberg.
Hey, how are you?
The legendary Mr. Christopher Lloyd. Christopher, how are we doing?
I'm doing good. Great introduction.
Television.
Jimmy Fallon joins us this morning. Jimmy, how you doing, my friend?
Good morning. Thank you so much, Brad, for having me. I appreciate this, bud.
Kelly Ripa.
Brad, thank you for having me.
Comedy.
Jay Leno joins us. Jay, how you doing?
Hey, Brad, what's going on?
Gabriel Fluffy Iglesias.
Good morning.
Music.
Lola Monroe.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
The legendary frontman of AC/DC, Brian Johnson, joins us right now. Brian, how you doing?
Good morning, Brad. What lucky to talk to me, funny lad.
Grammy Award winner Maya joins us.
How are you?
And more. This is The Collection. Now your host, the boat, Brad Gilmore.
And I told everybody we're going to have a special guest joining us on the show today. We are talking about season 2 of Grand Crew. It's going to debut tonight at 7:30 Central Time. You can watch it next day on Peacock. One of the stars joins me right now, Echo Kellum. Echo, how's it going, brother?
Hey, man, it's going great. Loving being in Houston. I'm having good times. I need to hit that rodeo. Let's go.
I know we were talking about the boots earlier. You didn't get the boots.
I didn't get the boots. They didn't have my size. They were sold out countrywide. I was about to get my first pair of cowboy boots. I've been wanting some for a minute, but they're on the list. I'm going to get some for
Okay,
sure.
man. Well, hey, look, let's talk about Grand Crew.
Yeah.
Season 2. Okay, we got the green light. People are about to see it. First off, what can people expect from season 2 Grand Crew?
I mean, they can expect hijinks, situational comedy, friends getting into it with each other, and also making up. I mean, they can expect a lot of good stuff. I think season 1 ended with a lot of cliffhangers, so we definitely pay those off in season 2. It's like a lot of homage we're giving to the classic 90s shows like Living Single, Martin, Seinfeld, a little shout out to Sex and the City as well. So I think there's a lot of fun to be had in season 2 that people really jive with.
This show has an interesting voice, right? It's not like any other network show I've seen in recent memory.
Yeah.
Just because the comedy, like you said, it's not specific, but it's very direct and pointed, right?
Yeah.
And if it speaks to you, it really speaks to you. Talk about kind of the not the concept of the show, but the spirit of the show. How would you describe it?
Yeah, I mean, it really harkens back to those hangout comedies that had like 3 jokes a page where you're just like going. Our writers are so terrific. We're led by the prolific Phil Augusta Jackson. He wrote for Key and Peele and Insecure and Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
And y'all go way back,
We
right?
go way back. I've known Phil for over a decade. I know Nicole for a decade, Carl as well. So the show's based on our actual friend group. And so Phil was creating a show with Dan Gore. Dan Gore came to visit us at the bar that we go to, the wine bar we go to. And Dan was like, this is the show. What is happening right now is a show. So Phil wrote it, and
That's a Seinfeld moment right there.
Literally a
This is the
Seinfeld
show.
moment. This is the show.
And we're not going to change it.
We're not. And I'm really thankful we are. I mean, so many talented people on here. Nicole's one of the funniest people I've met. Carl, too. So we just have a lot of fun.
Talk about, though, your relationship with Phil. He's the showrunner.
Yes,
Right?
he's
So
the
he's
showrunner.
boss man at the end of the day, right?
He
He's
is
kind of
boss man at the end of the day.
controlling it. Do you go to him, I guess, how does he run the show in your perspective? Is he very open to suggestions? It's like, hey, if you Echo's like, man, I got this idea.
Yeah.
Let me tell you, Phil.
He's
and
like,
open to it.
shut up.
He's
This
like,
is
shut up,
my
Echo.
job. What are you doing, Echo?
I wrote
don't
it.
want to hear it. No, he's very open. I mean, I'm single in these streets, so there's a lot of dating stories I have, and I'll bring it to Phil, and sometimes he'll incorporate it in the storylines. But the dopest thing about Phil is he loves just a very uplifting, positive environment. So it's not one of those rooms where it's someone yelling or trying to get the most out of people by being mean. He's just very easygoing. He understands the process, and he's also just extremely funny. So I think we have such an amazing showrunner and person who really gets every aspect of the show he wants to tell and the story he wants to tell. Feels like the truth, and he makes it really easy.
Well, I think with comedies, it's different than a drama, right? A drama, you really have to, the scripts, the screenwriting of it, you really have to set everything up very precisely. Comedy, we're looking for the funny.
Yeah.
So even if your funny is better than my funny, I'm going with your funny, right?
100%. And Phil is definitely one of those type of collaborators that you can work with. We improvise a lot. There's this one scene that they've been showing where I call out one of the characters for making me go watch his musical about tax season, and then I literally ad-lib the line it was all about tax people who are something like that, and they left it in. So it's like really cool that they trust us to bring our own comedic perspectives to the show and let us play. So it's a really like dope environment.
And the network seems to like let y'all do you, right?
Yeah, they really do. I mean, I've never been on a show where a network was like, we trust in you all, what you guys are doing. I feel so supported by the network. They're like 100% on board and like just let us really have fun. I felt like we had a bigger budget this season, so I was like loving all this stuff. I was like, oh snap, my clothes look great. So it was
I got
really
the Gucci
dope.
aura.
Hey, let's go. Yeah. So they've been extremely supportive from the head of the network, Jeff Snell, all the way down. Everyone's been so great, and we're just having a great time, and hope we get to keep making more episodes.
Grand Crew Season 2 debuts tonight, 7:30 Central on NBC. You can catch the replay on Peacock the next day if you're one of the streaming folks. When you have a Season 2, right? We were talking about music a minute ago. We were talking about hip-hop. They always say about your first album, you have your entire life to write your first album, right? And then that sophomore album, a lot of times people get
the sophomore slump, right?
Sophomore slump,
Yes,
right?
yes.
How do we avoid that?
Well, honestly, I think because it's based off of our real lives, like we are just constantly living it, right? And so there were so many stories that didn't make it into season 1. So there's just like a huge overflowing of potential premises and situations that we literally get to dive into in season 2. I think because we've been able to live in these characters for a year, that our writers are actually writing in the same room together as opposed to Zoom, it just made all the jokes hit that much better. I feel like we really came and brought it with this season. I love season 1. I love season 2 even more. And I wouldn't say that. I'm like, yeah, season 2 is cool. I have that promo where I'm like, oh, this season's interesting. It's the nice thing.
We go a different way.
We switch it up a little bit. But I feel like season 2 is better than season 1. And season 1 was already so great. So I'm really happy with the work we got to do creatively in it.
Having to prep for a show over Zoom, like challenges you don't expect, right?
Absolutely.
There's so much, especially in comedy, I think there's so much human interaction that's needed. There's timing that's needed. Those jokes don't hit when you're workshopping them in the room when there's like a 3-second internet delay.
Exactly. And sometimes the whole signal goes out and you're like, what was that? Huh? And that takes time. And so it's that aspect where you get off of Zoom, you're in real life with each other. There's just time you don't have to waste on the technical difficulties or stuff like that.
We can't hear you. You're muted.
Hello? What was that joke? Yeah, exactly. We had so many table reads where it's like, did he say, okay, and I'm just going to do my next line? So being able to be in the same room, I think has been so fruitful. And I think the comedy has really come through. Phil had a word that he liked to say when we were talking about season 2. He called it Weinfeld. That was like the kind of vibe he wants. Seinfeld will wine. And so we're really leaning into those situations and just having fun.
Are we a big Seinfeld fan?
I love Seinfeld. Are you kidding me? I'm obsessed with Seinfeld.
Do you have a season you go to? Because we can watch them on...
I feel like season 3 is where Seinfeld really starts cooking for me personally. But I would probably say my favorite episode is the one with the man hands. She
had man hands.
She had man hands. And then she's wiping the food off his face.
Cracks the lobster with her hands.
And the hands are so comically big. Oh my God. I mean, I love everything Larry David has ever touched. So like Seinfeld.
I feel like you would crush it on Curb.
I would love to be on Curb. I'm like a little miffed I haven't been invited to go on Curb yet. I'm like, Larry, hit me up. Let me come do a fun guest star,
Well, I feel like for you, and I want to ask like if there's a similar experience on Grand Crew, but like with Curb, there's no script. There's an outline, and you kind of find the dialogue, find the jokes.
Yeah.
Do you have that freedom on Grand Crew of like, hey, we know these are the jokes we wrote, but now, hey, we're here. Hey, what if we did this? This is a little bit funnier if I said it this way. Or hey, this joke doesn't work for me. It might work better for him.
100% that happened in the same clip that they preview for Grand Crew, where I'm talking to my friends. I was supposed to say this line where Carl's like, "Remember that black-owned toilet paper company you want to start, Fubu Boo Boo?" And I was just like, there. I was like, no, you know what? It'll be better if Carl says it. I was like, him saying it will actually add to this comedy. So they let that happen. It wasn't a big deal. But I'm also like not selfish. I'm like, I just want to make the show be as good as it can be. So they give you that breath and that room to stretch like that. And I feel like because we've been there for the whole season, they have a lot more trust in us having lived in these characters. So it's a very collaborative, very open process. You can come in and rip on jokes. I mean, they constantly have a lot of alts for different jokes and things like that, but we're always pitching. We're all like comedians, so we all write too. So just that makes it, I think that's what really makes our show special, is that we all dabble in all these different perspectives of our artistry, and so we just all are trying to make the best show we can.
So what lessons did you learn? Because we were talking before we rolled, you were on Arrow for quite some time, right?
Yeah.
Whole different vibe in this show.
Very
right?
different. Yeah.
Very different vibe. But what did you take from Arrow that you could take moving forward and other projects that you learned? Because I feel like you always learn something, even if it's a way that the show's produced or a show's shot. I mean, you always kind of pick up something that you can take on. What is something that you think you had at Arrow that you brought forward with you forever?
I mean, honestly, I try to soak up as much as I can when I'm on sets, from DPs, from actors, from writers. I would say one of the things I really took away from Arrow was just watching Stephen Amell's professionality when it came to being the lead of the show, how he treated everyone so kind. It was just so open and welcoming. And, you know, I'm fortunate enough to be the lead of this show, but like, he never treated like that. I never treated like that. We're a true ensemble. It's just taking that perspective of like, this is a team sport. This is about the whole unit coming together, from the grips all the way up to the heads of the network. This is about us being collectively in it together. And Arrow really taught me that aspect of like really treating everybody the same. There is no above the line, below the line. It's just all of us doing the best we can to make the greatest show that we can with the materials we have. So I took that from Arrow. Really thankful for Stephen Amell and all the actors, like Nat Faxon on Ben and Kate, Sean Hayes on Sean Saves the World. Like, I've just learned so much from their humility and for them just being completely open and down for anything and not feeling like they're the top, they're number one, so they get this or whatever. It's like all that is like trash, and I just love treating everybody the same and all working like hell to get the best product we can get out.
So Grand Crew Season 2 debuts tonight. Tonight's 7:30. We got to, everybody in the H-Town area, we got to be watching the show. We got to support my man, Echo Kellum. Where does the name come from, Echo?
I mean, well, I used to wear a lot of Echo clothing in high school. Mark
You're
Echo,
Echo
shout
Unlimited.
out Mark Echo.
Hey.
Hey. And, you know, they had this Cash Money song called Iceberg.
I remember,
or Juvenile says a line, I'm an iceberg, shout it, Lord have mercy. So all my friends start calling me Echo Shawty. And then it just kind of stuck. And I, like, legally changed my name when I was 18. It was like, yeah, I'm Echo now. Let's go.
Wow,
So,
you did the legal route.
You had to put, it's so funny. Legally, you have to go to court. You have to put an article in the paper to let people know you're changing.
You had an announcement?
You have to.
You had a name announcement?
You have to do it. It's the laws are insane with how you do it. But I did that, and it costs money, obviously. And then you get the new birth certificate, Social Security, all that stuff like that. So it was pretty intense.
So you had to really.
I had to really
feel a connection to the name.
Yeah, and all my friends always call me E my whole life. They always shorten it with E because my first name was Emmanuel, but now my name's Echo Emmanuel Kellum.
Okay.
So it was very easy to switch, and they have been calling me that for years, and then it just felt right. I always knew I wanted to be an actor. I was like, this is a great stage name too.
It's a great name. You're not going to forget it. You know what I mean? And no one else in SAG has
no one.
Echo.
I was so thankful. But I have a son, so he's the real Echo Kellum. So named him after me. So.
Oh, okay, dope. Again, 7:30 tonight. Grand Crew Season 2. We were talking about music a second ago, and you're giving me your top 5 MCs. We were talking a little hip hop, but since you're a comedian, there's a sitcom. Give me your 5 comics.
My 5 favorite
is that easy? Can you rattle that off?
I think so. Dave Chappelle,
right?
Is probably
why
top.
Dave?
I mean, I would say. Well, see, my love for Dave is still like the old Killing Him Softly, Chappelle Show vibe. So that's always been. I haven't seen a lot of his most recent stuff, but that stuff just was very seminal in my youth. It really influenced me. His style of comedy. I love Bill Burr.
Yeah,
he is
hilarious.
Like, freaking so funny. John Mulaney, Chris Rock. I'm trying to think of. I want to give a shout out to somebody fairly new. And Nicole Byer. Let me go ahead.
There you go.
Nicole Byer. Let's go. Nicole Byer kills that joint every time. But yeah, I really do love comedy a ton.
Yeah. I mean, and John Mulaney kind of also comes from the school of Seinfeld. There's a similar vibe there.
Yeah, that New in Town special really cracks me up. I don't know if you've seen it, but
I haven't seen it yet.
One story where he talks about when he first got to New York. It's so funny. I don't want to re-say it because I'm going to butcher it, but you have to hear his story when he got to New York and he's new in town. It's so funny.
I feel like Chris Rock, though, is probably... I mean, I know people put Dave high up there, but I think that Chris Rock, when you talk about a comic, and I feel like he's the guy who not only the whole crowd wants to see, all the comics are going to wait around and be like, we got to see Chris's set.
Yeah.
Why do you think makes him so great?
I mean, Chris is a major truth teller, and the way he tells the truth and the universal inside jokes that we might think of but didn't really articulate in our brains, when you hear it come, you're like, oh my God, that's how it felt for years. Like, he just has that ability to really connect with that truth, and I think he's just so good at the way he delivers his jokes, the way he sets up the premise. He's just like one of the best that's ever done it, for sure.
So you were saying on Grand Crew you're out in these streets.
Yes.
Right?
Majorly.
Like we're out here.
We out here, yeah.
Now, how do we feel about these apps? Like, are we an app guy? Are you a dating app guy? Do you like these things? I feel like the same way a table reads hard on Zoom. Like, what are we talking about here? We're trying to make a connection on Tinder?
It's tough. I mean, I am on the apps out of necessity, but I would much prefer to meet someone in the wild as opposed to on the apps. You know what I'm saying? I love that. In the wild, like I heard I wore this shirt called All My Friends Are Dead, and the artist of the shirt saw me in New York randomly. He's like, I wrote that. Like, I did that shirt. I was like, where? He's like, it's my first time ever seeing it in the wild. And I was like, the wild. Oh my God, we're in the wild. That's what this is. Real life is the wild. So I use the wild now all the time. But it's so much easier. I mean, you miss so much in texting and whatever. You miss, infliction and like, what I'm saying, certain jokes and stuff like that. So I much prefer to meet people in real life. But, I'm still on the dating apps out of necessity. So.
But so, like, is there something specific that happened on one of these apps that we pitched for the show or made it into the show?
Oh, man, there's so many stories. Oh, man, I'm trying to think what specifically has made it in.
Because I'm sure some of them are like an amalgamation of several experiences.
Oh, for sure. Like, Nicole was dating some guy who was, like, very conservative. And she's like, oh, my God, I didn't realize it initially. So that definitely played in. But I feel like a lot of stories definitely have helped that amalgamation. I mean, there's some really fun. There's one really interesting episode where Aaron is talking about a dating experience we had a girl. I don't want to spoil it for people because it's so wild, but it definitely happened from real experience. And when you guys hear what they're discussing, the analogous aspect of what they're discussing, it is very funny and it's based in truth.
So I mean, obviously we're always focused on Grand Crew again tonight, 7:30 Central. You can check it out the next day on Peacock. But what are the other aspirations that you have? Obviously, there's more there. There's more in the Echo Onion that we have to peel back.
Absolutely.
Like, what's next? Like, what else do you want to accomplish?
Yeah, I mean, I love writing, I love directing, and I love making music. So those are the
I saw some of your stuff on YouTube, some of your music.
Thanks, man. Yeah, so I just released a single Tuesday with Phil Augusta Jackson called Punchline. I'm releasing about 4 or 5 more singles this year, and then I'm releasing a brand new EP next year, all different songs. So I'm really, really in the lab in the studio working. So
you really want to have this as an avenue? Do you want to put this as a slash?
Yeah, as a slash, yes. I mean, my brother was a famous rapper in Chicago many, many years ago.
Okay.
So it's kind of like an homage to him and just trying to kind of keep his spirit alive. He passed away, unfortunately, but trying to keep his spirit alive as a musician. Music and acting was my first loves, but also writing and directing is probably the things that I love to do the most. So
then let me ask you this.
Yeah.
What do you get a higher high from? Like a great joke or a great bar?
Man, that's interesting. I would say a great bar. I did my first concert right before the pandemic. I released the EP in 2020. I did my first concert at the Troubadour in LA.
Legendary venue.
Elton John's first spot. But
Was it really?
Wow. I think so.
I didn't know that.
I had never felt the high that I felt getting to perform in front of 500 people and just do it and then be vibing. And then when I came off the stage, it was like I was floating on water. It was one of the most incredible experiences I've ever had.
Right. Now, who is, because we're going to be wrapping here soon, but Grand Crew Season 2 tonight on NBC, 7:30 Central. Don't miss it. If you have a DVR, set it. If you are not a cable person like me and you have Peacock, which is a great service, I really do love Peacock, make sure you watch it there the next day.
Yes.
Is there a rapper similar to, because I'm sure sometimes a comic, maybe it's Phil, comes to you and has like this great joke and you're like, man, how did he think of that?
Yeah.
Who's the MC that gives you that? Like, who's the rapper who you're like, when you hear a verse, it almost makes you question on if I can even do this again?
Yeah, I mean, there's a few rappers that I really love. Phil, first of all, is one of the most prolific rappers.
Right.
He kills it with music. But I would say Donald Glover, Childish Gambino, is definitely a huge influence to me. Logic is like a person who has bars and bars and bars. I just started listening to his new album yesterday, and I was already like, I am messing with this hardcore. I almost cursed, but I didn't.
It's all right. Look at that, man. That's called media training, everybody. Media training.
But, I mean, there's so many. I mean, Kendrick Lamar, obviously, just incredible. His performances on SNL, too. I was at that show. Mind-blowing. It was like, holy crap. There are a lot of prolific, dope J. Cole. I mean, there's just so many out there.
I don't know if you ever have any interest in this, but you seem like you'd be like perfect for a late-night show.
I would love to do a late night show.
I feel like you could be the perfect host.
I would host NBC, anybody. Hello.
Yeah, I think
it's time to give Echo a new bag and put me as a late night host. I would be very into that.
I think you'd
That'd
be great
wild
at
if I look back 15 years and I'm like hosting late night show. I was like, holy shit, I can't believe it. Oh no.
Hey, you had it. You had it. We almost got to the goal line. We almost did it.
Dang.
We almost did it.
I
You know
set
what?
myself up. Okay, I should leave now? Okay, thank you
It's
so much.
over.
I'm being escorted out. Okay. No.
It's over. Well, Echo, brother, I appreciate you stopping by here in studio. It's a treat to have you here in the Houston city, the Houston airwaves, 7:30 tonight. You can catch Grand Crew. Last thing, where can people find you, follow you, check out the music, and then anything you want to leave the people with?
Yes. Follow me on Instagram at Echo Kells. That's ECHOKELLS. I'm on Twitter at Echo K. I have more music coming out. I have a few films coming out. I'm in Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret, dropping April 28th.
Oh, whoa, that's a
I have
big
an
one.
indie film called Men in Divorce, maybe coming out later this year. So there's a lot of fun stuff happening. Definitely look out for some more of my directing and writing work. I just did a little piece on the Poloni show in October. So I got to write and direct something for that. So I'm out here.
You're working, man. You're working.
Trying.
Well, hey, if you keep trying hard enough, you'll be able to get those cowboy boots
Man,
someday.
maybe
man.
those cowboy boots might come. Come on. Golden Goose has some cowboy boots that I want, and they don't have it in my size.
Again, Echo Kellum, Grand Crew, tonight, 7:30 Central. We appreciate you for stopping by and joining us. Want to give a shout out to MC in the building, and of course, the lovely Jackie for helping set this thing up.
Yeah.
Echo, appreciate it, man.
Hey, man, appreciate you too. Thank you so much.
All right, we'll be back. More of this ESPN 97.5, 92.5. We'll be back, H-Town.